Welcome back to the Real Rich Women podcast, and I am so excited to have Yvonne with us today. She has done over $12 million sales volume per year for the past 2 years in a row. She's a top agent in the Seattle market, and that is one of my favorite offices actually because it's ran by Anne Klein, who is one of my favorite people in the world. So I'm super excited to interview Yvonne and learn all her secrets and her pro tips on how she became a top agent and how you can get there as well if you want to be like her one day. So, Yvonne, like start us off. Can you share a little bit about how you got started in real estate? Like, what's your origin story? What did you do before real estate? What inspired you to pursue a career if it was something else? And
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
just tell us your story.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you, Cathey, for having me on. What an amazing experience this is. But yeah, a little bit about me. I've been in the greater Seattle area for over 25 years, and I'm all about people. And so I think just kind of, I've always been about relationships and all that. And so my background is like event planning. I worked in the school district for some time as well. And just have built this community of people that want to help other people. And so I really just love things like this, just to be able to connect with other women, especially, and support one another. But yeah, my background is more so like my husband's a first responder. My son is in the US military, serving in the Air Force. And those connections have helped me to continue to like show up for people and nurture people. I did initially start off on a team 4.5 years ago, and I learned so much. And I know like the brokerage I'm with, Engel and Volkers in Seattle, Mercer Island, it's all about people and community and collaboration. And so that has kind of given me so much just peacefulness and just kind of that nurturing mindset that I need to go out and give people. So yeah, it's been a great experience.
Remember to like and subscribe on this video. Like this video and subscribe to my channel if you're interested in learning more about how to invest in real estate or how to build and scale your business to 7, 8, 9 figures or beyond. Thank you, and I look forward to connecting with you.
I love that. Yeah. How long were you on a team before you went out on your own?
Probably just about 2 years.
Okay. Cool. That's awesome. And how did you find your team or mentor? Was it like a connection that you knew, or did you find them cold?
No, it was a connection. It was through just kind of the kids' soccer team, actually. But yeah, it's a great experience. And we just ended up, kind of getting to a certain point where we went, kind of had different things in mind for our businesses. And it was a great experience. And now I've been able to really show up for my clients the way I foresee my business going. And it's been amazing. I really love it.
That's awesome. And yeah, you have a great leadership team there and over there.
Yes, yes. I love Anne. I get to see her about once a week, and she has been just an integral part of just my story and really being a great mentor, but really has continued to kind of push my, kind of stepping outside of that comfort zone and doing podcasts like this and really just, showing up for people that way.
That's awesome. And how long have you been in real estate? You said 4.5 years?
4.5 years.
Four.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yep. Okay, so you're relatively new. That's really impressive.
Yes.
So within your first within your first 4 years, you hit over 12 million sales volume. That's crazy. So what did you do your first and second year, if you don't mind sharing? Because I think a lot of people get discouraged and they think like, they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel in their first 2 years. So if you can kind of share how did you hit 12 million so soon? That was year 3 for you then?
Oh my gosh. So yeah, year 3 and 4, those are, on my own. And so starting off like back when I did have a team, that was right during COVID. And so, it was one of those things where you have to just, I don't have the mindset of seeing a problem and then panicking. It's kind of that I see a problem and then I start trying to figure out like, what are the solutions? How do we problem solve? How do we work through this? And I was right through COVID. and, just had to like dive deep and learn how to not just like, sink or swim. So not just learn how to, swim, but like the backstroke, the dive, all the things, because that's how we have to show up for our clients. So, but yeah, that was first 2 years of just really grabbing onto any tool, any resources, I'm all about growing, and anything that I could hold on to that would help me, take it to the next level. In the last 2 years, it's been really honing back in on my sphere, clients, and who I would want to be, who I would want to help. Let me just go back. Who I would want to help me if I were sitting on that side, right? So if I was a buyer, what kind of agent would I want to show up for me or help me or guide me? And same as a seller, what kind of agent is going to, go the extra mile and do things differently and elevate that listing or the whole transaction. So it was really understanding a lot of my why, and that kind of drove me to get that 12 million for each year.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you share that. Like, so many things about it. Like, the first, like, I always say that to my team as well. Like, especially when I get agents that have started at other firms and they come to me after a few years, and I'm like, I'm gonna throw you into the deep end, so it's sink or swim. I was like one of the agents that joined our team recently, so she had never done a transaction over 800,000 before she joined our team, and the first referral I gave her was a $2.749 million listing, and I was like, just run with it. I'm like, you said you wanted to do luxury. I was like, this is a personal friend of mine, so you get to learn on like a transaction that, at least there's a little bit grace because it's my personal friend, it's a really close friend of mine, and also like I know, like I trust you. I know that you've done well, even though you haven't done a transaction of this size. Like, I trust that you provide exactly what you're saying, like that level of care that I would expect if it was me, right? If it's like, how would I want to be treated? I know you're going to treat my friend the same way. And so I'm willing to give you this chance. And it's sink or swim. And like, she just ran with it. So I definitely agree with you of that. Like, just having that empathy and treating people like you want to be treated.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. So
I love that story.
Thank you. Yeah, it's like this is very recent. Literally this month this happened. Like, she joined us, I don't know, like maybe a month or two before that. And she had told me when she had joined us when we were interviewing her, I was like, well, why do you want to transition? And she said, because she's like, I'm a very loyal person. I don't like to hop around, but honestly, I think I'm capped at where I am because my current broker and team just hasn't done luxury, and I want to do luxury. And I know that you have the capability and you have the brand. And I was like, yes, we do. And I'm happy to help you, but like, be careful what you wish for because I'll give you what you wish for. And so that's basically what it became. So yeah, so it worked out really well. And like, the first luxury broker open, she hosted, I helped her every step of the way, and it turned out great, right? And that's what it's all about. Like, that willingness to take chances, just like you said, where I was like, well, do this, this, and this. And I was like, I gave her all the connections and resources, but she was the one who actually executed, took action on it. And so I was like, well, I would recommend getting some sponsors because a broker open for a luxury listing is going to cost a lot more than a regular broker open. And you're going to want to do it nice and you're going to want to do it big. And so like I connected her with like a wealth manager, and what else? And I think like a custom closets company and a few others, so that she gets some financial sponsors to offset the cost of her broker open. So,
wow,
yeah.
That's amazing. I love that. I think I saw that post. That was an amazing.
Yeah.
That open house you guys had. It was all like the catered, and was that the one? Yeah.
Yeah. It was really recent. So we had like sushi, we had like caviar, we had all the things. So I was like, on a $2.749 million listing, I don't want to be getting like Costco pastries. Like, no, it's not on brand. It's like, it's a different kind of vibe. And so you want to sell the lifestyle a little bit, and you're showcasing to people like, hey, if you are the hostess and you want to be like the host of this, you have this beautiful home, you want to be the hostess of the mostess, this is what it could look like. And so it's a little bit of that. It's marketing, right? Selling that lifestyle. So, yeah. So, yeah. Let's see. So I wanted to ask you, 4 years in, what is the most you've ever made in a year GCI wise, if you don't mind sharing?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, I tend to focus on I tend to like not focus on GCI. I know like Anne tells me every time like you need to do this. I am all about like
I'm the same
how
way.
many
I'm the same way.
I know it's so hard because I just am like I mean I think it's great, right? And it drives me, but I think for myself I tend to like focus on like how many people can I help? How many more, how many more people can I help this next year? How many and I just it's so hard. Like I just tend to go there and I know I'm constantly like told
No,
you need
no,
to like
that's great,
focus on
honestly. I
things.
like that.
But yeah, it's just a dip for me. I feel like what drives me more is all about serving people and not focusing on the number of transactions, even though it's important, right? And I know it is something that we should talk about as agents and or advisors. But yeah, I tend to focus on the like how many more people can I help? But yeah, I mean honestly, like yeah, I think 200 I think was about that number, close to that number.
That's great. And no, you're focusing on the right things, honestly. Like, so I'll tell you, people don't talk about this often because it's not, I don't know, it's kind of embarrassing, right? Especially I'm like the brokerage owner, I'm the LP of a firm. And so, but for most of my career, I never knew how much I made until December rolled around. So like I never knew. I was just like, oh, I'm just trying to help people out. Like, and so it wasn't until I got to a point where I got too busy to do my own finances, where now like my husband actually used to be in the Air Force. And so he retired from the military. Now he's my full-time CFO and COO, that he does the P&L and the QuickBooks and all that on a quarterly basis. But literally before him, I would know how much I made. Like there were years I literally doubled my income. I didn't know. I went from like 300,000 to over almost 600,000 one year. And I didn't know that I did that. I was just like, oh, okay, like whatever. I'm just really busy this year.
I knew I was tired for
I
a
was just like,
reason.
yeah. And then like, I didn't know that I made almost 600,000 that year. And I was like, oh shit, like what? That's awesome. Yeah, because I literally doubled year over year. I was like, I think I made 300 something thousand the year before, then almost 600,000. And I just didn't notice until December rolled around, which also caused a tax problem, but that's a whole other story. So I was like, oh shoot, now I need to like get business expenses, right? I think I ended up buying a car from like a new car for my business. But yeah, no, so you're focusing on the right things. Like I literally like I used to be embarrassed, but then I started talking to more entrepreneurs who are successful and they do exactly what you do and I do, which is that like all I'm focusing on is solving problems, helping people and caring the most, right? That's all I'm doing. And when you do that, the money and the transactions and all of the numbers just fall into place when you focus on the right things, which is what you're focusing on.
Yeah, it's
So yeah,
it's a
so just
tricky
to
one for
reaffirm.
sure. Yeah, I mean like an actual if you're looking for an actual number, I'm closer to that 200,000 for the GCI. That was probably but honestly like there were yeah, the first couple years I was like, "Oh, this is amazing. Like, oh my gosh, I met all these people." And I wasn't really looking at that until December. And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's why I was tired this year."
Same, same. I was like, oh, I feel kind of burnt out. I don't know why.
Yeah. Yep,
So
for
totally, no,
sure.
I'm on the same page. Definitely kindred spirits because I was like, I don't know. And yeah, my mentor, she's a 3-time 8-figure founder. And so I remember one of the first masterminds I attended of hers. She's like, "What are your numbers?" And I was like, "I don't know." And she's like, "You don't know your numbers?" And I was like, "No." And she's like, "Well, you are like a marketing and like genius, so you should not be doing your numbers, but you should hire someone to do your numbers." And that's when I realized, like, hey, I just need to stay in my zone of genius, do what I love, do what I'm good at, and just outsource the rest. So
Yes.
it's
Oh,
okay.
I
Just
love
have someone
that.
else do it.
Okay, I'm writing that down. Stay in your zone of genius. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
just share.
Is
I'll
your
share the deals. I
husband?
just shared it with
Yeah.
Anne.
Okay. Is your husband for hire for the PNL and all of the COO numbers? Is he taking clients?
So I'll give you another pro tip. If you're looking to hire as a real estate agent or any kind of self-employed small business owner, onlinejobs.ph, you can hire a virtual or executive assistant directly from the Philippines. And a lot of them have years of experience. Like they have more experience than a lot of the candidates in the US because a lot of them have worked for other real estate professionals for like sometimes 5 years, sometimes a decade. And you can hire one for between $5 to $10 an hour with like sometimes 5 to 10 years of experience. And so just you can go to onlinejobs.ph, search for like real estate assistant, search for bookkeeper, whatever role that you need to fill, search for social media manager. And I have a lot of friends that have hired a lot of individuals from the Philippines, and they say they're the hardest working, they're the most loyal, and they're oftentimes more experienced than people in the US for a fraction of the cost, because the cost of living there is just lower. So, and they speak perfect English too. So
I love
pro
that.
tip.
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, as you
I
scale your business.
will be looking at that as soon as we're done. Yeah. That's awesome. I think it's always that thing where it's, I feel sometimes and this could be a little off topic, but I feel like we as advisors, we make the job look so easy sometimes, because it's like kind of, the glamour, what we show on social media, like all those things. And it's not, I mean, there's so many, areas that we have to be on point, and, where to invest our money, and, like having all the resources, all of that. I just feel like, at the end of the year, that's why we are so exhausted. But yeah, it's really something I feel like that's not talked about enough, is what goes into, the career. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
I love
agree.
this idea.
Agree. That's part of why I'm doing this, because like I love talking about the challenges and the failures and the struggles, because it's like people do just talk about the highlight reel a lot. And I think it's a disservice to our industry to only show the highlight reel and not talk about. And also, it's like it's a twofold thing, right? People think what we do is too easy, number one. But number two, you also sell without selling when people realize that you add value, you care the most, and you're solving a problem, just like we talked about. Like I always say, those three things are the pillars to a successful sales career, right? Add value, care the most, solve problems. But in doing that, all you have to do is share. Like, let's say, obviously withholding confidential information, but you could talk about like, hey, I had a seller and we encountered this issue, and this is how I resolved it, right? Let me tell you a story kind of situation. And that's when you really like, you attract the clients that really appreciate your like mindset and how solution oriented you are. And you also sell without selling, because people see that you're actually adding value and solving problems. So exactly. Let's talk about the challenges. Yeah, that's actually going to be a question later, but if you want to skip ahead, we can totally skip ahead, because I was going to ask actually, like, could you share a story about a challenging transaction and how you navigated it successfully?
Oh gosh. Okay. So there was one, I mean, it's a couple of years ago, probably early in my career. It's one of those things where you learn. I tend to learn when I'm in it as well. So like, just like, how do we navigate? What do we do? Ask all the questions. If you don't know, find someone that knows, that can offer some guidance. Because we never want to like give wrong information. But I remember like early in my career, there was, right before closing on a transaction, it was a husband and wife buying their first home, and right before closing, probably I would say maybe days before, maybe like a week, but the husband got laid off right before, and it was one of those things where they were panicking. What do we do? Oh my gosh, this is our dream home, this is it, how do we make this happen? And, it was just like brainstorming with my partner, calling our designated broker, and kind of figuring out what do we need to do to make this happen, and save the transaction. And, talking to the lender, and it turned out the wife was fine to qualify on her own. And so it was one of those things where we saved the house, saved the transaction. The husband, got a job within a week. So it was kind of that thing. But all of a sudden, when you're faced with that piece, it's what do you say? This is their house. And so that was part of their story. And it tended, the way we approached it was very much like, it's going to be okay. We will figure this out. You're not in this by yourself. And they were really like, even though in the moment it was a storm, it was like, you're not on the boat. You're not on the ship by yourself. We're going to figure this out. And we did everything we could to get them to closing. And it was a beautiful thing at the end. they lived in this home, they loved it. And like I said, the husband ended up getting a job, and it just, it was great. But in that moment, it was like, you could have just said, well, sorry, yeah, you're on your own. I guess we'll go find another house, and it took everything, all hands on deck kind of a mindset to get them to that place. And it doesn't always work out that way. But to know that, you go to the ends of the earth to help the people that trust us, that trust in us. And that's such an important piece. And if we wouldn't have been able to make it work, that's okay. We would have, figured out, okay, we're going to go find something that will work, and let's figure this out. And, that's when it becomes more about the people and not the number. So, that was just a really good, that was, again, early in my career. And it was something that kind of stuck with me of just, these are people's lives, and they trust in us to not give up on them. So yeah, that was something that just stuck with me.
I love that. Yeah. It's like, that lesson in perseverance and being solution oriented.
Yes.
And I think the other lesson there that is probably whoever your lender was, right? And having a good lender partner who can also be solution oriented with you and brainstorm with you when situations like that arise. So I think it's like twofold, right?
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I know we talked about we don't really track the numbers and stuff, but I feel like people always want to hear this kind of stuff. So what was the most expensive property you ever sold? And can you share the story of how you got that particular buyer or listing?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So one that I sold, well, I had a partner at the time. It's kind of a funny story, but it was in Seattle. It was a 2.2 is what we listed at like 1.8. So we closed at like 2.5. And it was, right in the middle of when there was multiple offers on the table, and it was crazy time, cash offers, all of that. And it was just because it was a cash offer and we had multiple cash offers, it had to make sense for our buyer, right? So all the best terms, not just the number. And then it was negotiating up from that to figure out like what would work for our seller with regard to timeline and, the non-refundable deposit and all those things. So it was a great transaction. We got that one from a referral from another England Volkers advisor. And, I believe it was a social media connection. But that was it. It was just like, hey, one of my clients has a property, in another state and looking to sell their home in Seattle. And we need to kind of, again, all hands on deck and have a trusted advisor. But another one recently that I did was not a listing. I represented the buyer. And I was hosting an open house. I was doing new construction at the time, and hosted an open house. And some really, the sweet couple came in, and they were just in town for a weekend, checking out Seattle, and said that they wanted to eventually relocate. They were getting a job transfer. And, that specific house didn't work for them. They wanted something a little bit, much different, I guess. And I asked, like, who's your agent? Do you have anyone that's helping you and guiding you through these open houses, or how are you getting into houses? And they had said they connected with another agent from another open house, but they weren't sold. And I said, oh, there you go. I was like, okay, well, here's what I offer. And would you, ask them if they would be open to meeting, and really just dug deep into like what their needs were and what they're looking for and timeline and all of that. And I asked so many questions, and they really understood that I was genuinely interested in helping them achieve their vision. And it wasn't just, oh, let me just go get that sale. And it took a couple of months, and they were selling a property in Northern California. So I connected them with an advisor to list their property there. And then I helped them find a property here, and it was amazing. But it was just kind of like helping them. I think we only looked for maybe like 2 months or so. But it was really honing in on what they were looking for and understanding that just because they had met with other agents, they were not sold on someone that really understood their vision. And so it was a really great connection. They're really dear friends of mine now. And it's been it was an amazing experience.
I love those stories. Sorry, I'm just like writing notes. I always write notes when I like things in it. That way I can share with my team.
Yes, there you go.
I'm like old school. I have like my little notepad here every time I do these.
I do too.
And so I was like,
I do too. In fact, I have this one here. I have this, and gave me this, and I take it everywhere. And it has all of my notes and just, I love it. It's red.
And it's so awesome. Yeah. So mine is from the Women Up conference, Sexier Real Estate conference that I went to.
Yes.
And Huntington Beach. Yeah, it was a bunch of real estate.
I was going to say San Diego. Yeah, I thought it was San Diego or something. Okay. Yeah. I'd love to go to that next year, maybe.
Yeah, I would go again. Maybe we'll go. Maybe I'll go this year now. I'll find out. Because so the cool thing is like Angle Invokers sponsors it. And so we get like a really cool, like steep discount on it. I forget how, it was like so cheap. Yeah, so you just have to ask Anne. She'll reach out to the people at corporate and they can get a hookup if you ever want to go to the conference. Yeah. I forgot what it was, but it's sponsored by Angle Invokers, which is really awesome. I love Angle Invokers, honestly. Like, and that's why I was like, I wrote that down too, like, because the network, like, one of the things they do is sponsor these conferences. And so sometimes we've gotten really steep discounts. Other times we've got comp tickets to things. So like corporate will sometimes just give us comp tickets. And so it's kind of crazy because I used to own, so Lisa and I have had our brokerage for a number of years. Lisa's my business partner. And the other firm, we will not name them, but they're in another international luxury real estate brokerage. And they just didn't offer all of the things. I'll tell you later off the record, right? But like it was I talk about, like, Lisa and I joke about it. We're like, that was like a toxic relationship. That's like our ex-husband that was abusive. And we didn't realize he was abusive until we got out of the relationship, because now that we're with Angle Invokers, we realize like we get so much more value with this network. Like we never got it with that other network that was an international luxury brokerage. And the people here are just so much kinder. Like there's no pretentiousness. There's no like snootiness. Everyone's just real, authentic, and just genuinely cares and collaborates and wants to help one another and wants to help their clients, right? And I felt like that other firm was very much about like, oh, these are my numbers and I'm better than you because my numbers are higher than yours. And like that, I don't like that vibe at all. I'm like you, we're like, I just want to help people. Like I care about people and I just want to like love on people. Like, and so this is the vibe in Angle Invokers. So that's why I love what you share that you got that big listing, or was it listing from your Angle Invokers network from social media? Because I always am pushing my team to be like, connect with other EV agents on social media. Like that's how you're going to generate your referral business. So like you are living proof of that. I love it.
I believe it was through social media. And it's one thing that I just feel like it's coming back to your audience, whether it's your clients or your referral partners, right? Like it's just showing them your authenticity, and it translates really well on social media. It's the easiest way to do it. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, because people work with people that they know, like, and trust, right? It's like if you want to actually cultivate genuine relationships and long-term clients, you have to share more than just your business. People want to connect with a human being. And so being authentic, sharing what it is about you that makes you unique, makes you human, and makes you not a commodity service. And that's what people don't realize. Like a lot of people, I think, are afraid of that authenticity and are afraid of being real. But I realized that I kind of go to the extreme and just I have embraced extreme authenticity. But through that, I've attracted the best clients that way. Like just by being real, like, and raw, people are like, oh my God, I love what you share. Like I resonate with that so much. So just be yourself and like share who you are, and you're going to attract, your vibe attracts your tribe.
Yes, totally. It's just being relatable. Like I feel like our clients, they need that. There's so many things out there on the media that makes them, maybe feel like, oh, they're just selling, or they're, but it's like, no, we're real people and we really do care. And we have something to provide you. So yeah, I love that. Just being relatable.
And living it, right? Just like you said about the open house buyer that you were able to win over, it's doing exactly what you shared that you did. And I think a lot of agents don't understand the simplicity of that, basically, which is just like asking questions to understand. Like it's that simple, right? Ask questions to thoroughly understand, show that you care, and figure out ways to add value and provide the solutions to their pain points or problems that they're sharing with you because you've asked the questions to fish those out of them, right? Like, oh, I hate traveling an hour to work, that commute sucks and whatever. Then, oh, let's find somewhere. Where do you work? Can we find somewhere that works for you? Or like, oh, I want a place where I can walk my dog at night safely. And it's like, okay, let's find something near a park or so a community with a community, like a community dog park, right? Just asking those questions and listening to what they say. And most people don't. They're like, exactly what you said is that a lot of agents think it's a transactional thing. And it's like, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, blah, blah, blah. Like, you're going to be a commodity service. No one's going to want to work with you if you do that. Like, ask them what it is about their unique preferences and situation that is motivating or prompting them to sell or buy.
Right. Yep, I know. And to add to that, like, one of my biggest things that I've really tried to hone in on is when I'm having these conversations with people, like, I know, like, yes, we all have to make money. We all have to, put food on the table, all those things. But to really understand their why and to it's okay to ask the questions, but I really try hard to have a conversation and not sell them on something. Like, hey, come buy with me, or come, list with me, or whatever. And it's like, no, like, how can I help you? What problems do you have right now? And what led you to this open house? What's not working for you that you're in this open house? And really, kind of honing in on those things. And I really struggle. No, I don't struggle anymore as much, but I used to struggle with asking questions that would lead to like a yes or no answer. Right. So now I'm like, don't ask a question if I want a yes or no. Like, I want to know more. Like, what, get them, engage with them, get them to answer what brought them into that open house. Like what you talked about, like, oh, I want to walk my dog. I want a dog park. I want this. Okay, great. So what's in your house right now that's not working for you? Like, is that not nearby? Like, what are some other things? And how do we solve that? And yes, budget, number of rooms, all of that, that's important, but it's more about the experience. And I have a client right now that's really on the fence of selling, and their neighbor actually was on the market last year and didn't have very much activity, did not sell. They took the house off the market. And so my clients were like, well, we're just going to hold off because they didn't sell. They didn't get the activity they wanted. So we're just going to hold on. And the conversations that we're having is, I understand why they're holding on, but for the last year, they've not been happy in their situation. So it's kind of that, what would work for you? Like, if you could somehow not really compromise on the listing price, but somehow what's a magic number what's the minimum that you would have to get for that property? Go buy the property that makes you happy. Like, you could have had a year of happiness, given up a couple $1,000s, but lived your life over here, and that's your focus. And so it's kind of like having those discussions of what's more, important. Not that I want to leave a penny on the table, but can money buy you happiness or sell you happiness, right? Like, and it's kind of that, those are the conversations. It's really, that's what we're having right now, is just like, we don't want to be in the same place next year where you've now had another year go by of not having the space you wanted, not being happy with the location, not having a house that serves you and that you're happy in. So those are the, again, diving deeper to find out what those problems are and how do we help solve them.
Exactly. And I don't know if you've read this book, but when you're sharing that, it reminded me of the book, Exactly What to Say for Real Estate Agents.
I just got that book from a friend of mine. Yes. She went and
Yeah.
saw the
So
Phil Jones. Yeah. And she sent me this book.
yeah. So the book is there's certain trigger words, right? But it's like, again, it goes back to like, look, you're actually caring and you're trying to help people. And a big part of our job is like serving as a guide, right? We're helping lead them people to where they want to go, but they might be scared or they might just like let fear and things like that are unreasonable hold them back. So there's this line that goes like, help me understand, right? So it's like, help me understand why you're choosing to not make a move if you're so unhappy, right? Something like that. Or help me understand what it would look like in your ideal situation if you were to wave a magic wand and have the perfect home scenario. Like, what would the house look like? What kind of neighborhood? Like, what amenities would you have? Just having that and like just approaching it with that childlike curiosity, that's gonna make a huge difference because you just are listening to understand and not to sell them anything, but to be like, okay, you're sharing with me all these dreams and your vision and your ideal scenario and why you're not happy and how you could be happy. Yet you're not doing anything towards any of this. Why, right? And so that gets people to think and it leads them to their own conclusion. And so you're not convincing them, you're helping them gain clarity on what they really want. And that's all. Like, we're not trying to tell people what to do. I'm in a part of a mastermind group, and one of the things we say is don't shit on people. Like, you don't shit on people. You're not like, you should do this, you should do that, right? Because no one likes being told what to do. And so instead, you ask clarifying questions like that, like, help me understand, what would a magic wand situation look like and things like that. That's one part of it. And the other part of it is like, we also share through what we say, just experience shares, right? Instead of being like, you should do this, be like, actually, your situation reminds me of a client I encountered in the past. And they sat on where they were really unhappy for a whole year. They finally made the move. And then when they did, they're like, I wish I did this 6 months earlier. I don't know why I waited as long as I did. Right. And so sharing from either experience or asking clarifying questions, as opposed to being like, you should do this, is going to be so much more effective and helpful.
Right. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. It's coming back to that. Let's ask the right questions. And, I love that. Just, asking clarifying questions. Yeah.
Yeah. And then also what you said, I love what you said.
Right? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. What you said about that, how you said ask questions like thoroughly. And I was going to add to what you said is that like, and you should do that because if you spend that time, if you spend like an extra 15, 20, 30 minutes, even an hour up front, you will save yourself weeks or months of time of presenting properties that don't fit their needs and criteria because you didn't ask them the questions. You didn't ask them like, oh, you don't want to be near a highway? Oh, I should show you homes near a highway. Oh, you don't want to be on a corner? Oh, I shouldn't show you homes near a corner, right? Like all these little nuances that if you would just ask the questions thoroughly, like you'd mentioned, you wouldn't have wasted their time and your own. So it's like it's kind of like the penny wise, pound foolish concept, right? People want to like rush, and go in the beginning and not take the time to thoroughly understand and do their due diligence with their buyer up front. And then they end up like spending all this time like going through duds that don't fit anyone's criteria. It frustrates both parties because you're like presenting or touring properties that no one likes.
Yeah.
So,
I know. And that's it. Like I'm a bit of a podcast junkie and I get on like any mastermind I can get onto, but there's a podcast I listen to all the time. And one thing he talks about is like sometimes when we are working with people, it's important to think about, ask them the questions of what they don't want, right? What would be the thing you don't want out of this solution? And it's like, okay, like let's say, I think one example was, he's taking his family out to dinner. There's a couple people in the, his kids, his wife. And instead of like, hey, what does everyone want for dinner? And everyone, one person says Chinese, one says Thai, one says, hamburgers. And it's like, then by the end of the day, you're home and frustrated and, everyone's like not eating. And so he says like, instead, hey, everyone gets to pick one thing in this card that you don't want to eat. So one person says, I don't want Chinese food. And one person says, I don't want burgers. And, they kind of go around and you get to say one thing. So it's like, okay, we're going to pizza. And then you go, and it's kind of that problem solved. And no one had to compromise. No one had to, go somewhere they didn't want to be. And it's really similar to our clients, is asking them questions of what they don't want. What would be the worst outcome? Like with this property, this client that I have, is what's the worst outcome? The worst outcome is that they live another year not living their truth, not wanting to be where they want to be, and enjoying life and having the dinner parties because they need the space, and all those things. Like that, to them, that's the worst thing. So now they're like, interesting. Didn't think of it like that. We only saw it as, we don't want to lose money. We don't want to lose $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000. At the end of the day, how does that translate? Are you stuck here and having to think about what you're missing out on? It's that fear of missing out, but more so like, what do you not want the outcome to look like? And if you can envision that, it kind of, like you said, it answers answers their own questions. No, that's right. I don't want to be stuck in this house again. It's a beautiful home, but it's not for us. So yeah, it's bringing it back to them, and asking those questions that really get them to answer their own questions. And you're right, we're not here to convince them or sell them or force them to do anything. It's just empowering them, educating them, and getting them to think about those things they haven't thought of. Right? Ask them those questions and put it back on them. And when they're ready, they know who to call.
Yeah, exactly. I love that you shared that. And it's like, again, I'm like taking notes. I was like, I'm going to steal that one. What don't you want? I'm going to have to tell my team on our next training. I'm going to be like, when you do your buyer consultations and when you do your seller consultations, ask this question, right? And that's a great one. I love that one. I was like, I'm always writing things down. I'm like such a nerd. I'm the same as you. I'm like a podcast, TED Talk, like personal growth, like junkie. And so I'm always like, I need to learn. And I'm like, I actually don't even, I don't watch TV. So like, I'm always like, I'm learning things. If I consume content, it's like YouTube, it's TED Talks, it's all the things that are educational. And then, yeah, so I also love like what you shared too, because I think a lot of people, they focus too much on the numbers, right? And they don't focus on quality of life and what's the value to that. Like, can you put a price on happiness? Could you put a price on joy, right? That's a question to ask, right? Like in terms of like, if you're going to like make $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 more, but be unhappy, be stressed out, like what's the cost of that? What's the value of that? And those are questions that we should be asking, because like literally stress causes health issues. Health issues cost money. It might not be a direct expense, but if you think about that, like if you're stressed out, if you're like, I'm commuting an hour to work every day when I could be commuting 15 minutes to work every day. Like what's your time worth? Or what's that stress level if you're sitting in traffic? So,
right. Yeah. I love that. I just wrote that down because I think that's exactly what our clients need to hear, is just, when they're on the fence, and stop focusing on the problem. Let's focus on the solution and where you could be a year from now. And what does that look like? Could you, have a 15-minute commute and get home early, not have to be in all this traffic, and pour a glass of wine at 5:00 at night instead of sitting in traffic for 2 hours? Like where is the thing? Can you get 2 more hours with your family at night? How do we do that? How do we
solve that? What's that worth, right? What's that worth? Is that worth that, like selling for $5,000 less, but getting 2 hours back a day for the next year? Hell yeah. Like what is your time worth, right? And again, it goes back to like caring the most and solving problems. And when you're doing that, it's like people are going to appreciate that you push stuff, because they're like, hey, you push me towards what's best for me, right? And so that's the difference. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I feel like we're so off topic, but it's okay.
I know. I'm just like,
I feel like there's so much value.
I love this.
There's so much value. So I was like, I just wanted to continue on our tangent. But I do want to ask you this question. So you've hit over 12 million in sales volume by basically year 3 of your business. And that is so rare in this industry. So you should definitely be proud of yourself, number one. But in your opinion, what are some reasons that agents fail in this industry? And on the flip side, why do you think you thrived and so quickly in an industry with such a high failure rate? I know we've talked a lot about some of the things you do, but if you have anything else to share.
Yeah, absolutely. So, to answer, the part of your question of like, I feel like a lot of people fail in this industry because it's so overwhelming. I think media, Netflix, all those, platforms, they make it seem so easy. And, especially like if you go back to, like 2 years from now or 2 years ago, we were, we were in a much different market, and we had so many agents enter into the industry, and multiple listings and all the things, and they buy, and don't really know how to find the balance. I feel like that's a huge part of it, because again, these platforms, these social media, or even all of the TV, the television shows, it makes it look so easy and glamorous. And there's so much effort that goes into there's sleepless nights, like there's like, it's not an 8 to 5 gig. It's not that. And if that's what you're expecting, it's not that you can do that, but that's not what's going to make you successful, and help you to reach more people. Like, it's just, you can't be checked out 5 p.m. and not answer your call when you have something under contract and you're having to save a deal, or someone says, hey, I just got off of work, I found this house, offers are due tonight, like it's so whatever it is, you cannot just have that mindset of I only work in this window. That's a huge part of what I feel is a misconception in our industry. And again, it works for some people, but to be successful and take it to the next level and reach so many people, you have to be all in. And I feel like, the $12 million, it's like, that was last year and the year before. And I just feel like that to me was, it wasn't always tough, or wasn't always easy, or there was a roller coaster. And it's just, how do I get myself in the rooms of people that have done it, that are willing to help, or willing to guide, or give me the tools so that I can learn, how I can be a better negotiator, how I can be, like these mastermind sessions. I dove deep into all of those things. Like, where can I, it's kind of like a sponge. Get me into the rooms. I want to learn. I want to grow. And at the same time, when I would, have these other meetings with other people or friends that were thinking about the industry, they would ask me, how do you do it? And start sharing. Like, I just want to, give it away, because it's like, hey, these are the things that worked for me and these are the things that didn't. So don't worry about this stuff, just focus on this stuff. Like, that is what's going to move the needle. And I just feel like that's, for me, my biggest success comes from having joy and gratitude, but it's also in my sphere and the people that I get to call my tribe. And that includes, my friends, my family, my husband, but people like Anne, people that are in our network, and several people that are not even in Engel and Volkers, but they're like-minded, and they also show up to serve people. And it's okay that you're not in the same, same brokerage, same brand. I feel like there's more people out there that are willing to share and build each other up, because at the end of the day, there's more than enough business for all of us. It should never be about competition, volume, like nothing. There should always be people that are willing to help one another and empower one another. And I feel like even when it's people without, outside of our brokerage, it's people that are willing to show up and share and empower other women, especially. It's really an important piece. I feel like for me, that is what drives me, is how can I show up for other people? How can I, there's a podcast, you probably know this one, but there's a gal that I follow, Jen Gottlieb. Do you follow Jen Gottlieb? She's a keynote speaker, motivational. She has a book. I think it's called Be Seen. But she talks
I've
about,
heard of her, actually.
yeah, she talks about in her book about hope. and it's comes back to help one person every day. And so I have an acronym. I love it. I write it down in my book. I have it in my phone. I have reminders that, it basically all around me, that who do I get to help today? I'm deeply rooted in my faith, which really pushes me again to hone in on that acronym, because I feel like it's just so important to think about, how do we help one person every day? And sometimes that person's us. Sometimes that person is, let me just take a minute and be healthy and take the walk, or, whatever it is. Sometimes it's my kids, sometimes it's a client, sometimes it's a colleague. But just when you have that mindset, for me, that kind of drives me to grow more and learn more so I can help someone else. So I don't even know if I answered your question, because we just kind of go all over the place, but
No,
yeah.
I love it. Actually, you shared so much valuable insight. I had to take so many notes. I think you went to the next page.
I'll send you the book if you don't have it.
I got it for my birthday, weirdly enough, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think. So one of my girlfriends gave it to me for my birthday, because this year I'm all in on content creation, personal brand, and really sharing this message. And so she's like, you need this book, and so she's part of Jen's mastermind group. And so she gave me the book. So I never heard of Jen before she told me about her and gave me the book. So that's why it's funny that it's this whole synchronicity thing. And there's so many things I wanted to touch upon that you mentioned, right? One of the things you mentioned was that the all in, being available and accessible, and time is of the essence in our business, right? If people need something done, if a client needs something, sometimes it's the offer to do that night, you have to be available. And that is how it is when you start off. And so I will say, in the beginning, that is definitely for many years, that's what I did. I was always on, always available, 24/7, no matter what. But I will say, because you will burn out if you continue that forever. And one of the biggest lessons I've learned in business throughout the years is, alone we are limited, together we are limitless. And I'm a huge believer in collaboration and the abundance mindset. And so in the beginning, yes, you should always be accessible and available, because that's what you need to build your business and build your reputation and build that rapport. But after a while, and it's not that long of a while, honestly, I would say probably within your first 3 to 5 years, you should consider, even though I don't want to shit on people, right? But I would say you to consider partnering with someone or taking on an associate and uplifting someone else, because we rise by lifting others. And so be that mentor to the person that you wished you had. You get to free up your time and give yourself more of a quality of life and balance. At the same time, you give someone else the opportunity to learn, to shadow, to grow their career. And so it's a win-win, and that opportunity for both parties, where there's a mutually beneficial relationship, where you're hey, I'm at this point in my career where I have more business than I can handle. I don't really want to be on my phone all the time when I'm on vacation, I'm still usually always available for my team. But honestly, I was in Park City for a few days. I don't want to be answering client calls if I don't have to. I will do it if I have to, but I have a team now, and I'm hey, I'm traveling. I'll still respond, but I will literally respond with, hey, I'm traveling. I'm looping in so-and-so for my team. They can help you. And that's the extent of my response, right? I don't have to hop on an hour-long call and actually deal with the issue. I just loop in someone from my team at this point in time.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
So
and that's awesome. Yeah, we tend to, we have that, especially with different conferences or people, travel or whatnot. And there's people in, within the Ankle and Bulkers, especially Mercer Island and Seattle, that we just have each other's backs. So it's that, hey, I'm traveling. Can you be on point? These are my clients, all the things, and fill them in. And then it's it's that quick text of, hey, and I usually send an email beforehand so they know, but just so this person's handling, transactions, or will help you with the showings or any questions or whatnot. And I think it's, again, over communicating with our clients so that they are never left to question, right? Who's going to answer me? And why is this stranger calling me now? Yvonne said, so it's, again, over communicating with them so they know that they're taken care of. And it's just, it's finding the balance for sure. I know we can't do it all sometimes, even though we want to.
Yeah. No, I love that you share that, because I think that's another very important point, that if we're going back to why do agents fail, a big part of it, I will say, is culture, right? I hear so many horror stories of agents that are at firms where it's like you're competing internally with your colleagues, you're competing with, the worst is when you're competing with your like broker owner, or like, and I'm like I love that Anne and I are on the same page. We're like, we do not want to compete with our team. So I only do commercial real estate. So I don't compete with our team at all. Even with my commercial real estate deals, there's now an agent on the Angle Brokers team that does commercial. And so literally every deal I get, I bring him on. Like, I'm like, and when you're ready for a full handoff, it'll just be a straight referral. But until you're ready for a full handoff, I will just be your like back of the house support, but you handle the client stuff. And like, I don't believe in competing with our team, and neither does Lisa, because I think that's important, that your leadership team, you can rely on them for support. And you're not like, oh my God, is my broker, is my license partner going to steal my client? Like, no, we are actually going to give you clients. We're never going to steal your clients. We don't want your clients. Like, and I think that's important, like for the leadership team on one end, but on the other end is that you have colleagues and other advisors in your firm that you can trust will collaborate with you and not try to steal their clients as well. And that's the same kind of, and I think Anne and I are like so similar. So we've built probably similar cultures where I hire based on, I hire based on character and not sales volume. So I don't care what numbers you do if you're not a good person. Like, if you're not kind, if you're not collaborative, if you are not like a loving, good person, I don't care if you do 20 or 100 million sales volume. I don't want you on my team. I care about people that are going to contribute positively to the culture. That like, if someone's unavailable because they're on vacation or they're tied up at another appointment, like we have a group chat on Facebook, for instance, for our firm. And if someone's not available to do a showing, they'll just be like, I have a listing. Someone needs to get access. I can't show it. Can someone else show it for me? Like, it's that simple. And you trust that they'll like take care of it. So exactly that. Like,
Yeah.
that's really important.
I
lessons,
love that.
I think.
Yes. It's like culture, it's family with, it's your work
Mhm.
family. No,
It
I
is.
say work, but it's that community. And yeah, I absolutely agree.
Yeah, I know. It's like, and it's funny. It's like every time, even on a like connecting with people like you, every time I've connected with someone in the Angle Brokers network, even on a national level, I'm like, I just feel like there's this camaraderie, right? Like, we're like kindred spirits. Like, oh my God, everything you said, I'm like, I agree with you. And I was like, and I want to add to it because I agree with you so much.
Yeah.
So I love that we're all
love
on the same
it.
page.
Yes.
Like, the culture is like crazy, right? And it's just like that alignment, that synchronicity. And I love what you shared though, that help one person every day. That's such a like, I actually like sent a kindness challenge to my team. So similar to what you're sharing. And so I was like, look for those moments where you can just do something kind for someone for no reason. It can be something really simple. Like, for me, it was like, we had an event for our team. I went to go pick up the coffee, like the Starbucks traveler things. And so there's just like this old man behind me. And I was just like, he looks like he's my grandpa's age, and he looked like he was going to work. He was dressed in like a uniform. And I was like, oh, like, it's sad that like he has to still work at his age. That's what I was thinking. Right? Maybe he wants to work. I don't know. But like, to me, I was just like, I feel bad when old people have to work. Like, I feel like they should just be retired. And so I was like, let me at least like help brighten up his day. And so like, I literally just like, when I was paying for my stuff, I grabbed one of the gift cards from Starbucks, and I put $20 on it. And then when I paid, I just turned around and like gave it to him, and he was like so confused. And I was like, Happy Monday.
Oh my gosh, I
So
love
like,
that.
It's
It's
something
just
simple.
spreading the
Like, people don't
kindness.
realize.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, it's
Yeah.
like $20, right? But $20 can make someone's day. And so something simple like that, like, look for those little opportunities and moments to just be kind to someone. Do something
Right.
nice. So
And that's it. And it's kind of like you lit up when you're telling me the story. And it's like, look at what it did for you, right? Like the $20
I love
of
that, yeah.
giving. Like there's so much joy in giving. And yeah,
There is.
I love that. So yeah, I like the kindness challenge. I love that.
Yeah, exactly. And there's actually a great book. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called The Go-Giver.
No, I haven't. No. Tell me more.
So yeah, so Go-Giver, it was gifted to me by another friend. My friends know I like books, apparently. So I get books as gifts a lot, which I actually like. So I get gifts as books. And so one of my best friends gifted me the book called The Go Giver. And I love the concept because it basically, the premise of it, like the Spark Notes version, is that you focus on giving, basically, is that simple, and focus on adding value, and everything will come full circle. Like, and it's basically, it talks about someone who was struggling with their like sales careers, essentially, which is really relevant for real estate. But yeah, if you just focus on giving and being that connector, and just giving and serving, that's when everything will just, it's like this synchronistic alignment from the universe. Like you mentioned faith earlier, and I'm a big believer in faith. Like I was raised Buddhist, but I'm definitely more spiritual than religious at this point, and I'm such a big believer in like the universe and like synchronicities. And it's like there's actually, it's kind of down the woo-woo rabbit hole a little bit, but there is actually quantum physics behind this, which is that our thoughts and our feelings actually have vibrational frequencies, kind of like radio waves, where you cannot see it, but it you like emit waves, emit waves. And so that's why when you feel gratitude and joy and all these things, and you are authentic, you're at a high vibrational frequency, and you're attracting all the good clients, all the good things into your life.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Yes. There's so many podcasts I listen to that talk about that. And it's like Jim Quick. He's a brain.
Oh yeah. I love Jim Quick.
I love him. I'm like just mesmerized because he talks about these things that are so profound. And you're like, oh my gosh, his story about the superhero or the X-Men, all of that. And he finally got his picture with his class. And it's amazing, these people that share these things, and it really just resonates, with so many. So I love that. I feel like we listen and read the same books. We listen to the same podcasts and read the same books. I love it.
Probably, yeah. Like Joe Dispenza, Tony Robbins, Jim Quick, Jay Shetty, all these people. I'm like, but one thing I realized is like, as much as I love them, and like Gary Vee, I'm like, a lot of them are male, pale, and still, and like white guys. And I was like, I need to be out there, and like, I need to show women that there's a woman that can like, share the same insights, just as profound, and us as women can rise up by lifting others. And so this is like my whole mission this year. Actually, was why I'm like just going all in on content, because I'm like, I love all these guys. I love their thought leadership. I love what I'm learning, but I'm like, where's the woman?
Right. I know.
Where are the women?
It's crazy. I know. There's so many. Yeah. Now that I think of it, there's so many men that are, that I listen to these podcasts and all of that. There's some women, but there's definitely more men that are out there. And it's funny.
Far more men. Like there's like,
there's one that's Ed Milet, who I love. He talks about most of the people that he's the followers that listen to his podcast and go to his, conferences, most of them are women. And he's like, it's just a thing. I tend to like, my way of speaking and all the things I share tend to, these women tend to gravitate towards those words. And it's probably why we have so many like women that are powerhouses right now, like things like that, because somehow this, these keynote speakers are able to connect with women, and it resonates, it sparks a fire, and boom, they're off, like go change the world. And I love that you're doing this. I really do. You're going to be the next, one up there, writing the books and doing all these podcasts like, oh my gosh, Cathey. Yeah. You'll be it.
I mean, I'm already an Amazon best-selling co-author, but I haven't written like my full book. I co-authored the Amazon best-selling book already. I'll share it with y'all. Are you coming to UVX?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll give you a copy for free.
Not this year. Oh, I love it. Thank you. No. I'm not. Well, okay. It's a tricky one.
I will give Anne a copy. I'll give Anne a copy to bring back for you then.
Okay. Will you autograph it?
I'll give Anne a copy of the book. Yeah.
Will you autograph it for
like
me?
A woman. Yeah.
You have to autograph it for me, though.
A Woman.
Okay.
And it's a group of basically myself and I think it was like 8 or 9 other 7-figure female founders co-authored the book. And it's Lead Like a Woman, Audacity. And it's basically we're sharing our story to help other women see that it's possible to hit 7 figures in revenue as a woman, because statistically, only 3% of women owned businesses ever hit 7 figures in revenue. And when you take into account minorities, like women that are minorities, it's less than 1%. So it's kind of crazy. And so that's why I've been on this like personal mission to be like, I need to increase this number personally. Like, I'm going to make it my mission.
Yes, I love that. And it just comes back to like what's on your heart is like, hey, how do I help other people and empower them that they can go change the world, change people's lives, and be the positive, be the kind, all of that. Like, I love that. So yes, I want an autographed book, please.
Okay, I'll write you a note. Yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like lead with love and lead with kindness. And that's what I think. Like, I was interviewed on a few podcasts about the book. And what I share, they're like, what does it mean to lead like a woman to you? And I was like, leading like a woman means leading with empathy, leading with kindness, and leading with love. And I feel like they're great men. I love the men in my life. Obviously, my husband's amazing and he's really supportive. But there are also a lot of men who lead with ego. And that is not my vibe. And I don't like that kind of leadership style. And it's just like, it's not about exploiting people. It's about empowering people. And there's a huge difference there, right? When you're focused on like, how can someone help me versus how can I help someone else? And so to me, that's what leading like a woman is. It's empowering, it's inspiring, it's uplifting, it's leading with love and kindness. And that is my whole mission and my vibe, basically.
Yes, I love it. Oh my gosh. That just speaks to my heart because that's why I do what I do. Like, that's part of my why, is just trying to show up for people and serve them. And my family is part of my why, all of that. But just, I want to help people. And I don't know, sometimes you just don't know who that is, right? They help one person every day. Sometimes it's another agent that's struggling. And sometimes it's, like, I really try hard to, every time I go out to like the Starbucks or the grocery store, I want to engage with that cashier, that barista. Like, I just, there's so many people that like, okay, give me the coffee and go, or they're on their phone. And I'm just like, how's it going? How's your day? What's the best part of your day? Like, oh my gosh, has it been busy? And again, trying to engage and make them feel a little bit like, wow, this person actually was asking me, real questions, not just like, hi, bye, how's your day? And so it's just really interesting to just come back to
we are definitely kindred spirits.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
I love.
Yes,
I do the same thing, and I have like, I always joke because my husband's like, I say he's a cat and I'm a dog, and so I'm always like, friends, people, and he's just like in the corner. And so like, we'll go out to a restaurant and I'll be like, are you the owner? How'd you start this restaurant? What inspired you? What's your passion? Like, what's your favorite thing about owning a restaurant? And then it'll be like an hour after dinner, we're still there, and he'll be like, oh,
right. They've closed. Can we go home? I love it. Yeah,
So
I'm all about people.
I'm always like,
yeah, it's just like, I want to know the story, what led you here. And
yes, me too.
Isn't it crazy how sometimes you connect with someone and you dig a little deep into what their story is? And there's so many times where I'm like, oh my gosh, so did I. Or, like, you find the connections and, here you're like, I had no idea you were also this, or you were in the military, or, whatever it is. Like, it's really about people helping one another, putting people first, and really just caring. Caring about people.
That's how you cultivate that connection and the camaraderie, right? Exactly what you're saying. Like, when you ask those questions, that's how you connect with people on a deeper level. Like, I hate small talk, I hate the how's the weather's thing. Like, I don't ask that. I'm just like, I'm like, what are your childhood traumas? Like, asking people like, what's your why in life? What's your purpose in this life?
Right.
Like,
There's a game that my sister bought me, and it was this little cube of cards, and I want to say it was like table topics or something like that, and it was just these little conversation starters. You can buy them at Target, or I think Amazon, or whatever, TJ Maxx or something, but they're these little conversation like table talk cards, and so you just pull them out occasionally. And it was funny, every time my kids had a friend over, I'm like, pull the game out. And they're like, no, mom, like, don't do that. They're teenagers. I'm like, don't do that. And I'm like, no, it's a way to like learn something new about them that you would have never asked. Like, what is one of your, fears in life? And, like people ask you, like, what are you afraid of? Oh, spiders, no, like, no, what is your, really, what's your fear in life? Or like, man, I am really struggling with this, or whatever it is. And it's just like getting people to engage and have real conversations. We're not robots, Yeah,
I
it's
love
really
that.
interesting. Yeah.
I'll need to get that game. Yeah, can you message that to me whenever you have a chance?
Will. Yes, I will.
I'd love to bring that out at like a dinner party.
Oh my gosh! Yes, we have it on our table.
Dinner party.
We have it on our table, and I think there's like different versions of it. So you can have it for like dinner party guests. I think there's adults, there's kids, there's different things like that. But yeah, I'll definitely send it your way. That's funny.
I love it. Yeah, I was like, I know we're like going. Okay, I was trying to keep this an hour, but I feel like we went off tangent. But it's okay. It's okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh. But no, there's so many things that you said that I was like, oh my God, I resonate with that. I relate to that. And I agree with that, right? And I think one of the other things you said was about the agents and help. Sometimes it's about helping another agent. And it's like, obviously, I'm the licensed partner and a broker of our firm. But like, since I am very public on social media and I share a lot of like agent pro tips, I get agents from other firms calling me for advice. And I'm like, this is interesting. They don't call their broker. They call me. And I'm not even their broker, but like I help them out. I'm like, hey, like, I'm not your broker, obviously. I would still advise you to ask your broker, but this is what I would do in this situation. Here's an experience I had. These are the questions I would share. And I just like add value, even though like, just to help them for no reason at all. So I'm the same way where it's like, why not like be kind when you can and just help someone out when you can, right?
And you never know, like down the road, what if you cross paths with that same person and maybe they do come on Engel and Volkers because you stood out to them and you didn't look at them like, oh, you're a different brokerage, I can't talk to you, or like I can't share. And it's like you were the one you were kind, you didn't treat them like the competition, and they will remember that. And maybe they just turn around and do it, give that same level of kindness to someone else that really needs it as well. So I love that.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in the pay it forward.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It always comes back, it comes back. If you put out
there's
bad
so many
into
questions
the world,
I want
it
to
comes
ask
back.
you. Exactly. It's a vibrational frequency like we talked about. The energy waves, right?
Yes. Yes.
Big believer.
Yes.
I know. I was like, oh my God. Okay. So I don't want to keep this too long. So I feel like we have to do a part 2, which I've had to do more than once, but it's okay. We'll do a part 2 to go through the rest of the questions.
Sure.
But for this one, if we can wrap up, then this one, just like, what's the final advice you would want to share with agents in the industry who want to reach this level of success that you have? Do you have any, maybe, I know we talked a lot about personal and professional development, like thought leaders that we follow. Are there any particular books, conferences, podcasts, masterminds that you have made a significant impact, like really specific ones that you would recommend a new agent? Like read these 3 books or listen to these 2 podcasts or attend this conference kind of thing.
Okay. So yeah, there's so many things to touch on. And I'll make it quick, but if I had to encourage, if I were to go back and speak to myself, honestly, as a younger agent, I would say get into the rooms of people that want to help you take it to the next level, right? That are willing to share, not secrets and all of that, but just more like that motivation, encouragement, that mindset that I think a lot of new agents need, so that they can kind of figure out like what their path is. We all have a different journey, and I feel like we all have a different purpose in life. But one thing we really have in common is how to show up for ourselves, and how to and that can be, your drive, your mindset, the growth, all the things. So I love podcasts, like I shared. I love books. I don't really listen to music. I used to get in the car and listen to my country or listen to, Eminem or whatever, just all the things. Now I'm just like, oh my gosh, podcast. Like I know exactly the one I need that is talking about this. And sometimes I listen to it on repeat, I get into all these different mastermind sessions with people that are wanting to encourage other people and bring me into their circles. And I'll be in the car heading to Mercer Island. I'm on that Zoom. I get in the car early so I can be part of this mastermind session. I'll get on the Zoom and I'm just listening the whole time and, sharing my experience. Or again, it's just like holding on to every little bit and piece that I can learn from and elevate my own business, but also like help one person every day. So if I'm listening to some crazy, podcast and they're talking about something that helped them in a difficult time, I am on a phone call or I'm in a meeting or I am somewhere where I'm sharing that information. Because even though like it resonated with me and I'm like, wow, this really helped me, maybe it'll help someone else as well. And so just sharing all of those tidbits, right? But get into the rooms of those people, those speakers, attend conferences, do the, if you're Engel and Volkers, which I'm hoping, most people are, get on the academy, get on, connect with the designated broker, connect with your COO, your licensed partner, and find out like, hey, you know me as a person. What do you think would benefit me on the academy websites? Where can you encourage me so I can grow in this area that I'm struggling in? Like negotiating. That was not one of my biggest strong suits. And so I had to like, okay, do the trainings, read the books, find different ways to push the areas of my life that I struggled in or that I just wasn't great at. And so it was, okay, instead of running away from the things that I wasn't good at and focusing only on the great things, it's try to, shift it so I can make those other things better, so I can deliver a better product to my clients, to my family, to myself. And so things like that I tend to, it shifted my focus on focusing on myself as far as like what I wanted to bring to the table and how I want to show up for other people. So that was, for me, that was the biggest piece. And that's one of my biggest driving points is what do I want to bring to whomever, my clients, my friends, my family, myself. How do I show up for all of those people and not burn out, right? It's trying to find the balance, taking the walk, listening to the podcast. Sometimes I just turn off my brain and just want Eminem. I just want the music. Adele, whatever.
I love that.
I just need to like turn it all off.
2000s hip hop is my thing. I put on like Ja Rule and like
yes. Oh my gosh, yes. That's a little Belle Biv DeVoe gets in there, little Bruno Mars. I mean, it's all like whatever that moment needs, right? Whenever the and sometimes it's instrumental worship music. Like it is like I just need to like chill for a minute. And my faith, all of that. It's just whatever I need. I really encourage other people to just listen to that. Listen to what you need in that moment. And if you are like, oh my gosh, I see social media, all these people are doing all the things and I can't do that. And they're so much more successful or they're, doing this and doing that. And it's like, you have no idea what is happening behind the scenes for that person. They're showing you what they want you to see. And that's okay because that's their way of connecting with other people. And that's great. But you can't you cannot compare yourself to other people and what they're willing to share. And so having deep conversations with your sphere, your family, your friends, colleagues, people like you, like it's just like, how do we empower other people so that they can show up better than they did yesterday for themselves, for other people, right? So it's just, yeah, I mean, honestly, one of my favorite books, this is kind of silly, but I don't know if you've read this one. This is, there was he's an admiral.
What's it called? Sorry.
It's called Make Your Bed.
here.
Oh, sorry. It's called Make Your Bed.
That's great. Okay.
And
Okay.
I'll send you the YouTube. It was an admiral that he was U.S. Navy retired. He spoke about like, if you want to, I don't want to give it away, but it talks about like, it all starts with like making your bed. It all like, if you come back to like make your bed, it's the first thing that like, kind of like starts your day, whether it, and if it's like, I have a gratitude journal on my nightstand. That's another piece. I either start my day or I try to end my day, because it reminds me of like, hey, I'm grateful for this moment with you, Cathey. Like, I'm grateful for connections. I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to touch other lives, however that looks.
I love gratitude journaling
so it's
too.
things
I
like
have a
that.
gratitude journal as well.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I feel like we're sisters. I swear.
I was like, I have a gratitude journal, and actually, I have one. I ended up because one of the agents, one of the advisors on our team, I know she's big into gratitude journaling, so I actually got her one as well. That's like the same as mine. I need to actually order more because I ordered like in bulk so I could give it away to people, because there's like so in the front it actually says like I hope, what is it? It's like, I hope you're proud of the work you do and the person you are, or something like that.
Oh,
I don't know, like that.
I love that.
It says it much more eloquently. But it's like, it says it much more eloquent. I'll send it to you.
I'd love to see it. More. My daughter actually bought this one. My daughter actually bought this one for me. I don't know if you can see it, but it's basically a daily prayer and gratitude. But in it has like all these really cool little things, and it's like, I walk by faith, not by the obstacles standing in front of me today, and little things like that. I'm like, okay, that's so relevant to me every day, right? Like standing true to my faith, staying true to who I am and my morals and moral compass, all of that. But it's okay. We all are dealing with obstacles, all of us. And it, could be big, could be little. And it's like, we are bigger than the obstacles in front of us. We are able to take those on. And we may not have the answers, and that's okay. But we're all in this together and leaning on other people to, hey, how can I have this problem? Can you help me? Like, I would love to learn a little bit more. Like, have you ever been faced with this? And what's something that, how did you get out of that? And it feels like in this conversation, it's those pieces that I feel like will help other people get through the obstacle, and come out on the other end, whether it's, sometimes it's not always easy, right? I mean, that's kind of the thing. It's, the answers are not, they're simple, not easy. And that's what I think about, is because it's just part of life, helping who you used to be. Like Ed Milet, says, we're most capable of helping the people we used to be. And how do we?
I heard that actually, and that's one of the things that I think, like, so a lot of these thought leaders say similar things, right? Like, so Tony Robbins is like my go-to. Like, I love Tony Robbins stuff, and Date with Destiny really changed my life. It motivated me to do this, but it's the same kind of concept where it's like, I had like really like extreme imposter syndrome, where I was like, who am I to teach? Who am I to be a thought leader? Who am I to be on these stages? Like, and then I realized I'm the most equipped to be that person for who I was 5 or 10 years ago. And so exactly that, when you shift the focus from yourself to others and how you can help someone else, then that fear and that imposter syndrome and all that self-doubt and all that anxiety falls away, because it's not about you anymore. It's about who you can help. It's about them. And so that's exactly like, that's how you address that like anxiety, that stress, and that people think about. Like, stop focusing on yourself and they'll all just fall away naturally, right? And also what you shared earlier, I love that about the obstacles, and that everyone is encountering challenges and obstacles, and most people only show the highlight reel on social media. And that's why I know we follow each other on social media. That's one of the things I've started to do in my stories. And it's kind of entertaining, but also to a lot of people, but it's also to share the truth, right? I'm like, yeah, I look like I have it all together when it comes to my business. Like, people see my success, like at my age, I'm 35, right? And they're like, oh, you have like an 8-figure real estate portfolio. You have a 7-figure business. You have multiple 6-figure businesses. Like, how are you so successful? I was like, Well, let me tell you, at home, I don't know how to do shit. I was like, my husband literally is like my chaperone. Like, I joke about this and I'm like, I have it all together in business, but like, I don't like, I don't know, like, I can't like, I don't do my own dishes. I don't know. My house is a mess. Like, like, I'm like, yeah, because I'm good at business, but I'm like, I'm a hot mess in my personal life. And that's how I do it, right? And people are like, oh, okay. I was like, I don't have it all together. I have like my husband literally like I joke. I'm like your child. This is why we don't have children because I am your child.
I love that. But you're being real
like,
with
that's
people. Like that's the people. You're not the only one that's like that, and that's the thing. Like you're speaking to people that are going to be like you, and they're like, oh my gosh, she can go, kick ass in business and do all these things and be a boss lady and all of that. But she's real. Like she,
I'm
she's
like a
being
child at home. I'm like,
well, but that's okay. Like there will always be dishes in my sink. Doesn't matter if I just did them. There will always be dishes. There will always be laundry. There's always chaos. I feel like my front door is a revolving hotel door, like what you see it like the in Rockefeller Center or whatever. You see those hotels that's what I feel like my front door is. My kids are coming and going and friends are coming and going. And I'm like, that's just my life. There's always something, but I just, at the end of the day, I can put my head on my pillow and say, okay, this was, I gave it all. I gave it all. And sometimes that all is maybe if I'm only at 50% capacity because I'm struggling with, whatever, anxiety. I mean, I have anxiety. I have, I get headaches, like all the things, right? Everyone deals with some kind of health issue. And trying to wrap, my head around, okay, how do I get better? How do I find the answers? And the end of the day, if I only have 50% to give that day, but I know I gave 51% or I gave 50%, that was my 100%. I'm okay with that. Put my head on my pillow at night. I gave all of it. Yes. And I feel like that's, going back to your answer or your question of what would I say to other, agents or even, my younger self? It's okay. Give yourself grace. Like, we're not perfect. We're not robots. You're not going to get this in one shot.
Perfect.
Yes. Perfectly.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Perfectly imperfect. Yes.
Yeah. I'm the same way. And I think that's something that I struggled with for many years, similar to you. Like early on in my career, I was like, I would beat myself up. Like I thought I had, like, it's like I'd see people who are so successful and be like, wow, like, I'm a hot mess. I don't have it together. And then I realized as I progressed in my career, like we're all a hot mess in some way, right? And so to give yourself that grace and know that there's going to be highs and low days, weeks, months, even sometimes. And that's okay. And that like, we just have to understand that it's part of the human experience and it's okay. And, when we're struggling, to have that support system and not be afraid to ask for help, because that's something else you mentioned that I think is really important to touch upon, in that like, if you need the help, ask for it. I'd be the first to admit I was so guilty of this. I thought I had to do everything on my own. Like, and my life was just a mess until like, I'm really grateful. Like I have an amazing partner. Like my husband is, he literally, like before him, I was like, he jokes. Cause like when he first started dating me, like none of my clothes were actually hung up or put away. I literally just had a mountain of clothes. Like I didn't know how to put some. I didn't have time, and so it'd just be like this clothes mountain in my room. And he's in the military.
You found a way to make it work.
He would get deployed.
Oh, yeah.
He'd get deployed, and so every time he comes back, he's like, "Where are all your clothes? They're all on." And then to the point where I literally would like not be able to find my clothes. I would just buy more clothes, and so every time he got deployed, I'd get like 20, 30, 40 new outfits, and he'd be like, what just happened? And I was like, no, I couldn't find my clothes. I just bought new ones. It was easier. It was easier to buy new ones.
Right. But eventually you had to deal with the pile.
He dealt with the pile.
Oh.
Well, no, so now actually, so he dealt with the pile for many years, but now I have a pro tip. I found a professional organizer, like on Thumbtack. There's a website, an app called Thumbtack. And you can find local service providers for like almost everything. And I somehow came across like, so I found her originally because I was moving, which is really relevant for real estate. and I didn't want to unpack. So I was like,
Okay.
oh my God, I don't want to deal with the unpacking, right? And so I found her because I looked for like professional unpacking movers or something, and I somehow found her, and she like unpacked. So I have like a 3,000 square foot house. She literally unpacked all the boxes, everything in one full day. Everything.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
my clothes, my kitchen, my pantry, my linen closet, put everything away perfectly in one day. It was like the best. I think it was
Wow.
like $900 I ever spent. Her and her team.
That's amazing.
One day. I was
But
like,
you
if I had
found a
unpacked
system
on my own,
Yeah. But that's it. Like you leaned on a resource that you're like, hey, I know exactly what I can do and what I want to do, what I'm not going to do. I can, spend more time and be, invest in my career, do whatever, or have downtime with your boyfriend or, your husband and have someone else. You can pay someone else that specializes in that area to come help you,
Yeah.
right, with that thing. So, that's awesome. I love it. You found the system that, that works for you.
Ask for help. Ask for help or pay people. Like, don't be afraid to spend money sometimes. It's like your piece, like what we talked about goes back to full circle, right? What we talked about earlier. What is your peace of mind? What is your time? What is joy and like relaxation worth to you? If you had to put a dollar amount on that, right? Sometimes it's just, you have to think about things like that. And so, yeah, it's I feel like we touched upon so much, but before we wrap up for good, I do want to ask, because you mentioned a mastermind group. What mastermind group is it? Is it like a paid group? Did you start it yourself, or how did you find it?
No, actually, it was connecting with other agents. I have multiple masterminds that I'm a part of. But just Emilio Despirito, he's private office in shout out Emilio in East Greenwich in Rhode Island. He's been an amazing mentor. Has just shared so much about a story, but more so just like empowering other advisors that are hungry to learn. So it's getting into those rooms. But within our network, there's so many resources. I mean, really. But masterminds, I connected with other advisors. There's one mastermind that's not even our brokerage, but it spoke to me in how they train and what they're like they have monthly trainings and I just sign up for them, and I'm again always trying to learn and grow and just connect with other people. I'm on a social media course right now. It's like 6 weeks. We do it once or twice a week, and it's been amazing. It's just coming back to
so you paid for these, or are they?
The social media class I did pay for. Yep, I did pay for that. And it's been good because it's been great actually.
How much did you pay for it, if you don't mind sharing?
No, that's fine. I think it was just under $500. And I'm sure she offers a course again, but it's Chelsea Peets. I know I'm gonna get that wrong. It's Pietz. She's a social media like phenomenon, amazing. But she is like, we have these like weekly Zooms with her. There's like 25 people in our group, and they're not angle and bulkers. They're brokers, they're lenders, they're all kind of like mixed in this industry that want to learn more. And it's all women. Actually, no, I think there's 2 guys. But it's that thing. It's just like you're hungry for, how do I learn? How do I do it better than I did yesterday? How do I grow my brand, my personal brand, and connect with people that are meant for me? We can all share the same message, but we all have some similar, but different networks, different spheres, different audiences. And I can say something much different than the next person can say it. So I feel like there's an audience out there for each one of us. And when we share something, that person that's meant for me, they're going to gravitate towards my message because they connected with me. And so it's learning my voice, learning the branding, all of that. So, but sometimes you have to pay to play, right? To pay to grow. And that comes back to, the books, the podcasts, all of that. And these amazing speakers that share all this information. Sometimes there's courses you have to pay for, and sometimes there's not, but it's how do you take that information and do something with it? And, we can all listen to podcasts and all of that, but if you don't do something with the knowledge that you were just exposed to, how do you elevate your brand and elevate the next person's situation or experience and transaction or client, whatever it is? It's all of those things. It's just like hearing something and doing something with it, right? Executing. That's how we grow and we help other people.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know if you saw, I actually just shared something about that, actually I was interviewing someone for my other podcast, which is like 7-figure female founders. And it's just called Conversations with Cathey. But like I have 2 podcasts I launched simultaneously, like a kind of crazy person. So this one's Real Rich Woman, which is all top real estate agents. The other one's right now it's called Conversations with Cathey. I might change it to like Candid Conversations with Cathey or something, but she's a 7-figure entrepreneur, and she actually shared that. She's like, there's too many dreamers and not enough doers. And I was like, and this is like what I have up here on my wall, which just says like, ideas are worthless without execution. And it's so true what you're saying. Like, you can learn all you want, but if you don't actually execute and take action, like, it doesn't matter how much you learn, whether it's free or whether it's paid. And it is also really important, I think, of what you said, the paid play, because a lot of agents, I feel like they don't treat their business like a business. They think like it's like another job, and they expect everything to be handed to them. And I think that's why a lot of agents fail, because you do have to invest in yourself. You have to invest in your business. And honestly, the best ROI I've ever gotten out of an investment was investing in my personal growth, in my personal development, and my professional development. I've spent probably like, let me think, probably 30, no, more than that. If I count the conferences, it's probably close to $50,000 or more on masterminds, conferences, personal growth stuff. And it's the best ROI. And people are always like, what should I invest in? I'm like, oh, what real estate or what asset should I invest in? I'm like, if you have not hit like $300,000 to $500,000 a year in annual revenue, then you should be investing in personal development, personal growth first. That's going to be the best ROI. That's going to be the 100x ROI out of like a $3,000 or $5,000 course. You're going to make like that 100x. Don't focus on trying to invest in like getting passive income and investing in real estate. I'm like, you're not ready to invest in real estate. You haven't developed the foundation. You don't have the mindset. You don't have the skills. You don't have the connections. You don't have the resources yet. Focus on that first before you're trying to skip steps. Like a lot of people, I feel like, try to go from step 1 to step 10. And I'm like, there's a lot of steps between 1 and 10. You got to go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And then get to step 10. And so I agree with you. And I think you're doing all the right things in year 4, right? Like it's a lot. It took me honestly a lot longer than you to get to that point, because I learned a lot of my lessons through failures the hard way, and I call it fuck ups and failures. And so
it's
like
so
you're
true.
way ahead
Yes.
of where I was.
It's so true
And
though.
so,
Like
yeah,
you either, every failure, you either learn from it, you win or you learn, right? And sometimes it's
yes,
both.
that's what I always say.
Yes, you don't fail. Like, I mean, there's failures, but what's the takeaway? The takeaway is growth. Like, okay, next time you're faced with that situation, you're going to know how to approach it. You're going to know how to do it better, to not lead out with the same outcome, And so it's just, it's those things that just, I love that, Cathey. I love what you shared. That's amazing. Yeah, it's all about executing.
I love this. I'm so glad we got to connect finally.
I know,
even though we went way over the normal time and kind of went off on a tangent. But I think it was so valuable, and I think people will find this valuable. Because again, it's like we're sharing to the person we were 3 or 5 years ago, right? And so I think those people are going to find this very valuable, despite our going off on a tangent a little bit. And thank you so much again for your time and sharing all your insights.
Yes.
And
oh my gosh,
I hope
thank you.
Come to EVX.
Hopefully I know. I'm trying to make it work. It's so hard. 2 girls going to college, and they leave next fall, and I'm just like, I am holding on to every moment I can with them because they just grow up so fast. So yeah,
bring them. I just yeah, bring them. Make it a family vacation.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna think about that one. I love it.
Making a family. I can't believe you have girls going off to college. You look so young. So crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my
Thank you.
gosh.
No, it's a lot of coffee and wine. Yeah. There's a song out there. My girls laugh at me. They're like, okay, the day starts with the coffee and ends with the wine. They're like, Mom, that is so you. I'm like, I know. I know. But
That's funny.
yeah. No, thank you so much, Cathey. What a pleasure. I'm so glad to connect with you. And I love what you're doing. Just really trying to find a way to empower other people, other women, and grow. And you're such a giver. And I can tell that just in our connection here. Like, just you have a heart of gold. And I'm just, anyone that comes in your pathway, I know will just walk away with a smile and like, oh my gosh, she was amazing. So thank you for all that you're doing.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you. Well, I look, hopefully come to EVVX so I can meet you in person. Okay. But if not, I will definitely give Anne a copy of the book so that she can take it back to you.
Yes. Would love it. Thank